Good morning, St. Peter United.
Good
Welcome.
morning. I'm so glad that I get to be here with Shelby Murphy Mann again. Full name, you must say it every time you see her. So I'm just sharing out the link just to make sure everybody knows to come into the room here at Coffee Hour. And then I'm sharing it. Right post. Coffee Hour. So I think you were the one who brought up, I'll let people kind of come in and I'll talk. So you're the one that brought up first, and then Danny kind of took it too. I didn't realize this was the year anniversary of lockdown.
Yeah, like half of the people who RSVP'd to my wedding last year didn't show up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so what were you doing last year?
Last year,
Today
was the day before my wedding.
And
So I thought, okay, I have an extra week off. I don't have to use that vacation time to get my honeymoon in. This is going to be great. And then we were going to go to Washington, and then, of course, Washington was like the first state that shut down, and then it was Oregon, and it was like, all right, so then we'll go here, and then that state shut down, and then we'll go here. Oh, no,
Wow. Wow.
We're having a staycation. And then it was like, all right, so this will be like the next couple of months.
Oh, pull the mic closer.
Okay, I'll pull the mic closer. But it was one of those, I thought for sure we're going to, couple months, we'll end the school year. Everybody will stay inside for like the first month of summer because we're all sleeping. And then 1 month turned into the rest of the year. And we were never able to turn in our our marriage license.
Wow.
The state closed the day after our wedding.
And so, have they recorded it yet?
No.
Wow.
So we have Schrodinger's marriage now. We are at once married according to the church and our family, but not married according to the state.
Well, that is, wow.
Super fun.
That's
Fun is the word.
So I think a year ago, as things closed down, we had a church service that Sunday before, and I remember it because Dana, who's our deacon of really congregational care, she really emphasized putting out hand sanitizer, and we typically here at St. Peter, we pass the peace. It's one of the things we do. We're a huggy kind of church. So that was the first Sunday where we did not hug. We everybody elbowed each other, and I thought it was so bizarre. And then everything just shut down the next Sunday. And I remember thinking, do you remember when it felt like it was going to be, when they said it was just 2 weeks? Do you remember when they said it was a 2-week shutdown at first?
Yes, because we were at my bachelorette party. And we were all like, yeah, we get an extra week of spring break. We all were all teachers.
But I think back and I'm like, how did they think it was going to wash over? I don't know what they thought, but I do remember it being 2 weeks. And so I watched this show on OWN. It's called Queen Sugar. And they are, in this season, retelling last year. So it's like I feel like I'm reliving it as I watch, and I have so much sympathy for the characters, because I'm like, y'all have no idea. So where it is now is they're just putting signs up that they will be open in 2 weeks, and I think the date was like April 12th, and that still sticks out to me. Because I don't know if you remember, everybody thought we'd still be able to have big Easters. Like everybody was like, we're gonna just let it wash over, and then Easter's gonna happen.
We were thinking it's gonna be like Lent, where we just shut down everything and you're on a forced fast.
Yes.
Like we were a couple weeks ago, fasting from electricity and water.
Yes.
But we'll fast from human interaction for Lent. And then we thought, Easter will revive our good health along with Christ. It'll be a great celebration. And then we were like, oh, we're gonna be home for Easter.
For Easter, yep.
So, and then everybody was posting on Facebook. I remember my Easter dress this year, and they were all like house coats and slippers.
Yes, that's hilarious. We find ways to laugh, but Lord, I'm glad some progress has been made. I saw this week you got your vaccine.
I got my first round.
First shot, yeah. And Leslie and I got ours, second one 2 weeks ago. So we are
in the clear. I'm halfway there.
That's good.
And I just, of all the things and the number of people who are, as Pastor was saying, broken
Yeah.
by not only our experience before this past year, but if you were like, your life is great, and then quarantine happened, your life isn't great anymore.
Yeah.
And so the idea of all of us being equally traumatized
Yep.
in different ways, that was what was really hitting me this morning. It's like there's no escape from trauma at this
No.
point, and there's no,
Or being broken. Yeah, there's no escape from it. Like we all, yeah, you're right.
and the fact that, but we can bond by saying, you know what, it's okay because I'm broken too. And maybe those who were out of touch with us before now have grounds for us to relate.
Yeah.
So perhaps the purpose in all of this is a greater connection, because a lot of people have been connecting
Yep.
more
Yep. You're right.
in different ways.
More intentional about connecting.
Right.
This summer, I would say that like my in-laws, Leslie's parents, they bought a house here in Houston and from California, and it was just so great having all his sisters, brother-in-law. Like it was just, those are memories that I'll have of just like, while it was a tough summer for I know a lot of people, but it was just beautiful to have that time to where we were all together in a house swimming and really like, I forget to look at the camera, sorry y'all. Swimming and really like just having a good time. So I think that, yeah, there were opportunities for connection. Talk to me about, one of the things Leslie talked about in his sermon was meditation. Where does meditation show up in your life, and how do you meditate? Do you wash dishes and meditate?
We have to wash dishes by hand because our dishwasher is a glorified drying rack at best. So
By choice or for real?
for real.
Okay, because I know people like by choice would use it as a drying rack.
I mean, I choose
Leslie
that.
Jackson.
I choose that because we don't have counter space to put out dishes. But for real, it's not. It's not. It's not worth anything. But I think for me, the most meditative time of day is between classes.
Ooh.
Because I need that time to recenter before the chaos of first graders. When you have 19 6-year-olds, some of whom have very particular special needs, and you have to know which ones they are and not out them in front of their classmates, but you also need to like,
Yeah.
and then you've got the one child who gets no attention at home, and you've got the one child whose parents are divorcing. Because I think I have about 10 first graders who are going through a parent's divorcing.
Wow.
And so they all crave affection
Yes.
and attention, and they need more. So I take that time between classes to rebuild that little wall
Yeah.
of this is how much you're allowed, are able to give before you start compromising and you come home exhausted with nothing for your wife. So I set that barrier up, and I take that time to like recenter and make sure that that filter that Pastor was talking about is in place, because there are times,
Yeah.
there are children that you just, nope, maintain that professional wall.
I can imagine. You know, I think we were talking about, who was I talking about you to this week? Jay, J2 was talking about how what you said a few weeks ago, I can't even put it in the words you put it, but about children and affection. He said that touched him, like to know that kids are without affection, have been without touch and affection this
They're
whole
touch starved.
Yes, touch starts. That's what you said, yeah. So, he's been really doing a great job reaching out to the youth to at least, engage them and making sure that they are, touched in a way by him, just letting them know that he's there. So, that, I just wanted you to know that, you saying that has made even everyone kind of aware of what touch starvation is. Thank you for bringing that awareness
I'm glad.
for all of us.
Because I know this past week I had a first grade student who has having a medical condition in addition to an anxiety disorder. At 6, she already has a severe anxiety disorder.
At 6?
She is 6. If you think this year has not been traumatic, I am letting you know I have a 6-year-old with a severe anxiety disorder who did not have that in August.
Wow.
And she just came back face to face. But I got to hold her back after class for a second and say, I'm really proud of you for
Yeah.
how you're handling.
Yeah.
And because she's developing coping mechanisms, she's trying to figure out how to work with a support network. Because at 6, you don't have the social skills to know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of just rely on the adults. And so when I got to like sit there and like look her in the eye and be like, no, I'm actually really proud of you.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And it's awkward, it's hard, you're doing what you can. And the look on her face, she looked like no one had ever said that to her. But that's kind of what Pastor was saying about where is God in this.
Yeah.
Looking for those opportunities and keeping that presence of how can God speak through me without, even if I don't say his name or don't offer to pray over somebody.
Yeah.
How can I allow the Spirit through my actions into this world to make it better? And that's kind of what I was thinking while he was talking, is like, keeping that presence is really an act of discipline.
That's definitely an act of discipline. When I meditate, so at one point, Leslie and I were going to Unity of Houston, and really part of their service is meditation, so kind of what he's been doing with us. They meditate before or after the sermon, and it was always terribly difficult for me to turn the voices off. They'd be paused for a minute, and then it's just stuff. And so I'm learning how to be more mindful. I think that my meditation is, as I'm driving, worship music is a meditation for me. Even my lunchtime, if I go to Memorial Park and I run, listening to music is just it just helps center me. I definitely think the times that I'm working here, I put music on and I dance. And so, because this is just open space, so I'm able to dance. So that dancing is always a meditation for me. I miss ballet class so much because that was just meditation. So yeah, those are the ways that I feel like I'm able to reconnect to Spirit. So yeah, I try to be intentional, but I can't lie, the voice is still, I don't know. I guess I'm envious because I assume people are just having a void. They're able to just sit in silence and no thoughts come up. I don't know how to turn the thought faucet off.
I call that the nothing box. Some people have a box that they can sit in, and it's a nothing box. There's nothing in it.
I envy that.
I do too.
I
don't know
envy
what that's
that.
like.
I envy not being able to just, in this I mean, I'm at dinners and I'm listening, but then a thought can come into my head and I'm like, oh, I should change that with the music for Sunday. This is the kind of stuff that goes through my head.
I'm sitting there teaching. I am actively teaching a lesson, singing a song for the 12th time in a day, going, oh, that's right, I need to update this lesson plan. I need to make sure that I update my learning intentions on the wall. What if an administrator walks in while I'm singing and my voice cracks? Stupid, unreasonable, and they're just intrusive thoughts. And therapy, for me, has been a big help for meditating while doing things. And it kind of constantly monitoring your own thoughts. Because sometimes those intrusive thoughts are not healthy. I learned recently that not everybody has those things. I didn't realize not everybody has random intrusive thoughts of hurting yourself. What?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought everybody had these thoughts.
Yeah.
But to be in a state of, wait, that's not.
Yeah.
Where you can catch it before you latch onto it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big benefit of meditation in the first place, to be able to say, wait, that thought is not a healthy thought. It's not going to lead to better things. It's
Yeah.
going to lead to bad things. So we're going to let that thought go away
Yeah, yeah.
and replace it with an intentional thought. That was one of the things that I have consistently been working on.
Some comments from the chat are, Adrian Rose McGee says, someone mentioned that watching their memories from last year is like watching a movie where the characters don't know what's going to happen, but the audience does. It does. It just, April Maria says, I'm so happy my wife and I got our first their vaccine this weekend. Isla says community is so very important during this time.
Yes.
Absolutely, Isla. The gift of the Holy Spirit allows us to transfer the gift of peace to others. That's good. April says, I feel so much for these children and the elderly during these times. It was tough on many of us, especially on them. I know I cried just thinking about the first time I will be able to hug my friends. Absolutely. Like, that is something. Leslie says, for meditation, I should try washing dishes. I do wash dishes, sir. I put them in the dishwasher. I rinse and I drop them in. Now, if we can meditate on that, you and I, we can talk about it. And then Isla says, learning to pause allows me to put my thoughts under subjection.
That's good.
Yeah. And he says, to you, thank you for being so vulnerable.
Oh, thanks. I don't know how to respond to that, so I'm going to let you keep reading.
What about kids? Are some schools starting to put some form of meditation into school? I just wonder if starting early would help them not be like me.
Almost all of us are doing what we call mindful moments.
And build that up. What is that? What are you
So a
doing for
mindful moment, you take the few minutes at the beginning of class and meditation is also repetition. So picking a phrase that is mindful, deliberately, intentionally chosen, like an affirmation prayer, and meditating on that, basically repeating it to yourself and studying the meaning. One of the things that I've done is I've put on Eric Whitaker's Lux Aurum, which is light and gold in English. And it's designed to trick the audience into breathing with the choir. So it tricks you into slowing your breathing as you're listening with intent. And I've used that as a mindful moment for my older kids because they can sit for 5 minutes, and my youngers still, they need an action-oriented mindful moment. But that has been, almost every teacher I know is like, oh, I have a book of mindful moments or deliberate stress-relieving yoga poses for children. Almost all of the teachers that I have met, especially their outclass specials teachers, are putting that in because we are their only outlet.
Wow. Leslie just asked, can he get a link to that? Is there a link for?
Lux Aurum, I can, it's on YouTube. I can get you a link for that.
We'll get you a link for that. What about are teachers, and I guess some of them do y'all get moments to impart like affirmative ways to, I guess we wouldn't call it affirmative prayer as much as we would call it affirmations. Like, I feel like some kids need to hear, I am smart, or I am, are there moments where teachers are able to do things like that with their kids just to kind of build self-esteem?
Not that are prescribed.
Okay.
Many teachers do what is called PBIS, which is like a positive-based behavior intervention. So instead of paying attention to the child who's acting out for attention, you look at the kid who's dutifully doing what you asked them to do, and you say, thank you for being obedient, or thank you for being responsible. And you ascribe the virtue that you want to promote in your praise. So, thank you to my friends who are already doing what I asked you to, and I only had to say it once. You are awesome. And we do a lot of, at least in my class, when they have to track from left to right, I say, did you know that you are actually reading right now? And they go, what? Because I have a few who really are not good readers.
Wow.
And so when they can look and read successfully in music without a teacher helping them, even if it's not at the same level as letters, it's still, you're taking a symbol that is written down,
Yeah.
translating it into a meaning, and then speaking that meaning without assistance. That is reading.
You're reading. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a big aha moment and a confidence booster because they get to practice those same skills in a different context. But I think a lot of children right now are getting academic affirmation and not moral affirmation.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Because at home, it doesn't matter. Your parents are exhausted and possibly unemployed. They are not focused on you, they're focused on putting bread on the table. And for better or for worse, that's what it is.
Yeah. So there's no time to yeah.
So a lot of children are acting less disciplined, but simultaneously are advancing academically because that's what they're rewarded in.
Wow. Wow.
It's a weird juxtaposition to see.
So behavior not disciplined, but academically excelling.
Yeah.
And probably emotionally not.
They are
Excelling.
emotionally stunted. My first graders that should be starting to act a little bit more mature like second graders act like they are still in first grade
Wow.
because they only had half of kindergarten. Not their fault.
Yeah.
Not their fault. We haven't been in school for more than 3 weeks. They can't
Yeah.
walk in the hallways. They don't know how because they haven't had consistent reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Wow. There was a comment I wanted to make sure I caught. Hold on. I think I said hers. I feel so much for these kids. Yes. Ember says meditation is key for the mind to relax and creativity to flow. Dana says, Dana's a teacher too. Hey, Dana. We need to. Multiple high school teachers I know, including myself and Charlie, have students who are missing school due to significant mental health issues from the pandemic fallout. A. Marie says, I was told that I had to learn to think before I speak. Ember said that what you were speaking about, she calls positive-based therapy. They call positive-based therapy. And then A. Marie was talking about how some schools have yoga. I wish that was more pervasive. And then Ember says behavior is the window to the mind you need the key to open. You know, I think that I was reading something, y'all may know, or you may know, I saw something flash across, I have not had time to fact check it. Are they really trying to take fine arts out of Texas schools?
So what happened was, I
Yeah.
have this. I actually know about this
Okay,
because
thank you.
we were sent like 5 memos about this. What they're doing is they're trying to turn certain computer-based classes, technology-based classes into fine arts credits, or they're trying to equivocate them, saying, so a CTE credit and a fine arts credit, can we lump them in so that a kid who maybe doesn't want to do choir or doesn't want to do band or orchestra can do this instead? Which a lot of people are upset about because that will not only hinder our feeder programs, it will also hinder children's cognitive growth because the arts make you smarter. And I will die on that hill, I will fight you. Because music specifically is the only activity that activates your entire brain.
Wow.
And strengthens the bridge between the 2 hemispheres. It's one of the only activities that we have found that actually really truly makes you smarter and makes it strengthens your recall. And art is therapy, and how can you say that a child unknowingly will choose a computer science class because they think it's easier than art and then miss out on that opportunity to go and learn how art can be therapeutic and good for their mental health, even if you have no skill.
Yeah.
And it can teach you how to appreciate it better, which will save our museums.
Yeah.
But so you're trying to equivocate things that aren't in the same realm. They're not they're not the same.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to call them the same?
Right.
Because it will hurt your arts programs at the end of the day, because there's such a huge STEM push.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, become a mechanical engineer. And not every kid's gonna be a mechanical engineer.
Or like the way that we're really pushing software engineers right now. Like not every kid is going to be a software engineer. And how do you make room for the creative? Like for me, music too, I would say was a lifesaver for me. But like the arts, like theater arts, my drama program, dance, like that saved my life. Like that is who I am. Like I can't imagine had I not have had those programs, what I would be. Now, some of it was like dance was outside of school, but still, like music and theater arts were just part of, like, I don't think I could have survived school.
And like I think back to my high school, I was in International Baccalaureate program, which requires you to have 300 volunteer hours.
Oh, yeah.
And still, at the end of every day, when I went home, I played the piano for 3 hours every day because I just needed the outlet. And I can't imagine how you're going to get that with a computer science class. Like, I can't imagine how going home and looking at a screen for more hours is going to be a relief for this generation.
Cleve says, Leslie, Dana says, let me start here. Everybody talking, good. Isla says, active participation within the arts allows students to have a broader understanding of life. Dana said, it just gives them a choice, either or. It does not exclude the other. She's a teacher, so she was talking to what you were saying.
That's fine.
And then Cleve says, our boys crave and want interaction with others and their peers. In fact, considering both of their histories, I would say it is vital for them. They were not doing well with homeschooling at all, and we made the decision to send them back to school. When they got back, they both flourished. As parents, we must make tough decisions every day regarding our kids. For us, our kids' grades are important. However, their mental health is more important.
I
Amen.
agree.
Amen. Anne Marie says the arts do make you stronger. Adrian says, I long for celebrating STEAM. Bring the arts back into the top priorities.
Thank you. Yes, STEAM, not STEM. Please, for the
Yes.
love of God.
Yes.
Please.
Ember says, I'm mesmerized by paintings, music, and dance. Without, I don't know who I am. Love that. April says, music is what got me through my youth. Whoo, that is preach. Dana says, there are some kids who would benefit from CTE credit who do not enjoy the arts. This simply gives each student the ability to choose the credit. One does not exclude the other.
That's true. It doesn't mean that they would not be able to choose. It just means that they would not necessarily be forced to be exposed to the arts.
Got it.
And I am in favor of forced exposure to the arts because you don't know what you have until somebody shoves it in your face sometimes. And the reason there's a debate is because people disagree, which is fine. But that's me.
Yeah.
I will be, as an arts teacher, I'm not a glorified babysitter.
Yeah.
And that is the fight that I feel like I have to fight every day. So it's one of those like, no, I think kids need to be exposed to arts as a separate thing from technology, for me. And if you disagree, you are welcome to, because I know that some people disagree with me, and that's okay. But in my personal opinion, you have to force that exposure in the same way that we were forced to be exposed to a foreign language. It just broadens your mind in a way that I don't know how CTE would. But that's me.
I understand. Anne Marie says, theater allowed me to get out of the world and have fun. Amen. Like, theater arts for me was like a total different world. I remember, so in elementary, I was always like a big character. And I was always either lead of the play or I hosted the program. So when I got to middle school and there was like a proper theater arts program, I remember being like overwhelmed. And so in Beaumont, we did these, just like UIL, we have UIL, and then we had the drama festivals.
Right.
So the festivals would have like poetry, prose, storytelling, all those different like categories, and I would do all, I think it was all 11. I'd do all categories. So I was always like double booked because I wanted to do everything and I wanted to get superior and everything. But yeah, it was like a different world. It was like I got to like exit the drama that was happening at my house and really like become someone else or take on another persona or learn. Like Maya Angelou's poetry was reinforced in my middle school years because I said Still I Rise so much at drama festivals, or hearing one of my best friends now, Sheree. It makes me kind of want to cry. I don't want to cry. But my best friend Sheree from 6th grade, she was always like this like fierce woman. And I remember in drama, she would always say Maya Angelou's poem, Phenomenal Woman. And I just wonder, has that contributed to the phenomenal woman she is now? I mean, from having a baby in senior year to flourishing and still completing college and law school on time, raising her child the entire time. And like, I just think that those reinforcements help from a young age. So yeah, the arts saved most people I know.
And one thing I'm going to point out, because I don't know if you realize it, what you focus on when you remember your school days is not the ordinary days in class. It's those exceptional moments where you get to leave the classroom. This year, there have been no field trips. How many kids are being robbed of potentially life-saving memories that reveal your career? Like the number of kids who go to the aquarium and they go, oh my goodness, I never want to look at anything but jellyfish ever again.
Yep.
Like, I mean, some of them are 7 and they're wrong, but you know, that passion that children have is unbridled. And we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back to that.
Yeah.
But
Leslie says, he says, of course, I was always lead. Ember says, drama is science fiction in my life. Leslie says, choir saved my life and was my life. Dana says, CTE is agriculture, human development, floral design, health science, cosmetology, interior design, etc. Those are all CTE. Computer's only one tiny branch of that. Thanks, Dana.
thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dana. Thank you, Dana. Writing is amazing. Marie says we must have the arts in all kids' lives. April says, Shelby, I 100% agree. My arts classes were some of my favorites even in college. My electives were very diverse, though from arts to aviation to landscape design. Mm-hmm. That's amazing, April. Marie says, I started at 5 years old into high school. There's no way I would have made it without it because I was not your typical black girl child. Amen. Isla says we have virtual field trips, but I just feel like it's not the same.
It is the best we can do.
Yeah.
And the virtual field trips have been a modern marvel. They have been, but nothing compares to standing in front of an elephant.
That's right.
When you actually get to see one in person and go, oh.
Yeah.
No, and it's like, I don't know, for me on the screen, there's like a disconnect.
Yeah, yeah. Charles McWilliams says, as a member of the school bank in public school and college, school band in public school and in college, practicing on my clarinet taught me discipline and associating written notes to a tone broadened my mind. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And to Dana's credit, going and putting your hands in the dirt broadens your mind too.
Yes, that's right.
I will have to rethink my position and really consider, because landscaping is an opportunity to be creative.
Yes, yes.
And so
interior design is
incredible. So it's one of those
costume design.
I will have to rethink my perspective on that because I was not aware of how far CTE spread. So I appreciate your edification.
Yes, thank you, Dana. Dana's fly. I love Dana. Mm-hmm. She was supposed to be here. Anyway, so we are going to go ahead and wrap. I hope y'all enjoyed today and have a great Sunday. Some of you, even one of my choir members, forgot that it was daylight savings. So I know that some of y'all have overslept or, are off. So I expect next week for everybody to be right and understand the way the time goes. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shelby, for always offering such insight on children and youth. Also, Ashlyn is still here rocking it and doing the dang thing. So I'm so proud of her. So thank you again. And we love you all, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.